but I'm watching it, and I'm like, this is amazing. Our executive director, Chance Cosby, is sitting as close as I am to you. We're watching it on TV, and he just puts his hands in his head, and he goes, oh, no.
Welcome to Shop Talk with your hosts, Chief Jeff Walther and Sergeant Kevin Kwan.
All right, welcome everybody to the 18. Kevin, is this episode 18 already?
Episode 18.
Wow.
Yeah.
Welcome everybody to episode 18 of Shop Talk. I'm your host, Chief Jeff Walther. I'm excited to be with you again, and my my sidekick, he likes sidekick better than co-host, is Sergeant Kevin Kwan. Hey Kevin, did you make the lieutenant's list this go around?
I did. Thank you.
Does that mean I'm going to be forced to promote you at some point this year?
Well, you have to get a new co-host.
Okay, then I'll be promoting you sooner rather than later to get a new co-host. So congrats to you. Did a great job during the most recent lieutenant's process. I don't know, maybe it was all the expert tutelage of working in the office of the chief and spending an inordinate amount of time in my office. So that will I'll free up probably 20-25% of my time now when we promote you sometime later this year. God help everybody. But anyway, Kevin will be a watch commander in a district near you sometime in 2023. So congrats.
Thank you.
Happy to be back with everybody. Another exciting time. We're going to have Pat Williams on, who's the now the tournament chair of the WM Phoenix Open. We're excited. We're going to bring him in, have some great conversation with him. It's kind of one of those bittersweet times of the year for the Scottsdale Police Department. We're excited to have all the events going on in the city, the Open and that little football game that's being played across town, and all the major events that will be here in Scottsdale because of it. So we're really excited for that. But it's one of those like bowl escorts,
right?
The championship bowl series that just passed, and I'm always excited for that time of the year. But I know that is going to put some of my folks in harm's way in the traffic enforcement section doing 40 plus bowl escorts during that time period. So I'm always happy when that is here and then it's gone. So great bowl season, and kudos to my folks in the traffic enforcement section and the folks on the Fiesta Bowl committee that really worked hand in hand together to put together pretty seamless and safe operations for our folks. So I'm glad that's past us. Been also an interesting time. Just want to kind of talk to the community a little bit. We've been overwhelmed with positive emails and Instagram and Facebook, Twitter comments. One of our Sergeant Scott Galbraith was shot last Friday, so a week ago tonight was shot serving a search warrant in Phoenix on a sexual assault suspect. In fact, we just had our final press conference yesterday where Lieutenant Lee Campbell did an amazing job detailing the investigation. They didn't want to see my mug on the TV again since I'd already been on TV twice related to that incident. And so happy. So again, thanks to the community for the outpouring of love and support. I know that Sergeant Galbraith and his wife, Sergeant Tony Galbraith, also with the Scottsdale Police Department, certainly appreciate that. I'm going to see both of them today. I'm going to take them some tamales and enchiladas today out to their home. So amazing support. Scott's doing very well. He was released from the hospital on Sunday and recovering from his gunshot wound. And the suspect, I've shared this a couple times, and people don't like when I say this, but I shared that the suspect was taken into custody but was killed during being taken into custody. My shout out to Phoenix PD for all of their assistance. This ultimately became their investigation since the officer-involved shooting occurred in the city of Phoenix. And Phoenix did some great things, attempted to take him into custody, and then was met with a gun being pointed at them, the same gun that shot Sergeant Galbraith. The gun pointed at them, and they had no other choice but to use lethal force. And the suspect was killed on Sunday. So brought resolution to this case, and great job yesterday.
Yeah, one of the biggest things that we did take away from that is our community support and the community tips related to our original investigation. It was an unknown. The perpetrator was unknown at the time, and this was back in October. And reaching out to our community and them providing multiple tips on who this potential initial witness would be led us to developing him as an investigative lead. And so our outpouring of community support really helped solve this case for our victim, our original victim.
Right.
And I think that's the most important thing to really concentrate on from this entire incident is we worked this completely through its entirety because it was the right thing to do for our victim.
Absolutely. And she was very thankful. I know people have seen in the news, this is a 70-year-old female who was sexually assaulted. Stranger sexual assault came into her home at San Marin Apartments off of Indian School and Drinkwater. So I know that she was watching yesterday, and she's been very strong, and we've developed a great relationship with her. We're going to get into some great stuff here.
Yeah.
Super Bowl and Super Bowl parties and the WM Phoenix Open, and our exceptional partnership with the Thunderbirds over, I don't know, the 30-ish years that it's been in Scottsdale. I always wish they'd call it the WM Scottsdale Open.
Right.
But hey, I get that.
We can ask for it and see if they'll change it every year. Well, we'll just keep
Been
asking.
in Scottsdale long enough, so.
Chief's guest today comes with a background in marketing, strategy implementation, site evaluation and selection, detailed financial analysis, lease review, and negotiations. He is the managing director of JLL, and his leadership skills and unparalleled knowledge of the office, industrial, and medical industries continues to exceed clients' expectations, including but not limited to Banner Health, Choice Hotels, Dial Corporation, Isagenix, Progressive Insurance, Shutterfly, and the state of Arizona. Please welcome to the show the tournament chair for this year's 2023 WM Phoenix Open, Pat Williams.
Welcome, Pat, and thanks for willing to be kind of a guest here, because the guests are usually like, okay, what's the chief going to say? How am I going to get treated? So thanks for being here.
Couldn't be happier to be here. Thanks for having me.
You bet. So, Kevin, we talk about that partnership with the Thunderbirds and with Pat and their crew, and so how exciting that is.
Yeah.
But let's get a little background on you, Pat, and get kind of
I may be nervous to give it here.
You do much more than just the tournament chair. Can you kind of give us your background and what is JLL and how did you become the executive managing director?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to talk about myself much, but I'll tell you, I've been working for the same firm, JLL, for 20 plus years since I got out of school. It's a global real estate firm, Fortune 200 company.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, big company here in town with a big presence, and I have been fortunate enough to be with them my whole career. So my day job is JLL. We're a real estate company. I have the privilege of being the market lead. So we've got a wonderful team here, and we do a lot of work in Scottsdale, actually, on behalf of our clients. And so it's been a really fortunate run for me to be with the same group for 20 years, and I've got great partners, and luckily a great firm that allowed me to take some time to be the tournament chair this year too. Is about 18 months ago when the organization asked if I would be the tournament chair, I said I need to make 2 phone calls. So I called my wife.
Yeah,
Right.
That was number one.
Okay.
And her response was, you? And I said, thanks, honey. And then I called, the chairman of our company or our president and said, I think this is a good opportunity for myself. I think it's a good opportunity for our firm, but it's going to take some time.
Yeah.
And I'm going to need the support and cooperation of the company, and they've been outstanding.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's been really great.
It's great that our wives, our spouses, I think for all the listeners as well, can be so good at humbling us. And
Right.
wow, really, you're going to do that? Thanks.
But right from this high of will you be the tournament chairman, it's right back to reality. Okay, honey.
Which is good. We all need humility all the time.
Yeah,
It's true.
I think I've told this story before, but I've told this story many times. But I got promoted to commander, which is the first promotion in the police department where you get stars on your collar, right?
Okay.
It's 2 stars. And so I got promoted to commander, and at the end of 2009, I went home, and I was that guy standing in the mirror with my uniform shirt on only, and the stars on my collar, and I was like, man, that looks so good, right? That looks good. And I had a moment where I was feeling pretty full of myself, and my wife said, hey, honey, she yells at me from the kitchen, why don't you put those stars in my jewelry box and come unload the dishwasher? And so I was like, yes.
Our wives are similar. I had a 2-second story. I had a similar experience at JLL. I won an award within the firm, and they flew my family out, surprised me with this award. and I had to do some thank yous, and I said, honey, I'll see you back at the hotel. Our kids are there with us. And I got back to the hotel. It's not late. It's 9:30. And all my 2 kids and my wife were all in the hotel bed, and she did put a pillow on the couch.
Oh,
And,
no.
congratulations. We'll see you in the morning. We'll have
Awesome. I love it.
Yeah, it's great. It's great humility. So, well, that's your your day job. But kind of, can you talk about the Thunderbirds? And we had a great conversation last year, I think, with Dr. Golding and about it. We like to kind of get to know you and kind of your history and the Thunderbirds and how you got involved, and then that progression to being the tournament chair.
Yeah, you bet. So my progression isn't actually too dissimilar from Dr. Golding's. I've been in the group 1 year longer than Dr. Golding. This is my 9th open, maybe 9 or 10. But my initial job with the Thunderbirds was parking, as was it with Doc. And it's actually kind of interesting because when you're the parking chairman, that's a 2-year job. But you, as part of that job, you get a pretty close relationship with the city, with the police department pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And so Mr. Schaefer and myself became friends early in the process. Yeah. Early in the process. And
Tell him that's crazy.
I'm going to call him that too, Mr. Schaefer.
yeah. But, so we went from parking, and it evolved to some other jobs, and I've had 4 or 5 others. Post-parking, I was the player liaison, which is super fun. You go from outside the gates to truly inside the ropes as the player liaison. You get to travel, and you get to see other tournaments, and you get to forge relationships with players. And just some other jobs over the years, and then 2 years ago, they tapped me to be the assistant tournament chairman to Doc Golding, and so it's been really an incredible 9 years. I wish that I could say previous to my Thunderbird role, I was doing a lot of charitable work, but I wasn't doing as much. I actually did some stuff in the Boys and Girls Club here on Miller and Scottsdale for a few years, but the organization has allowed me to really do that, feel like I'm giving back. We do a ton of work outside the week of the Open, as you know. And so it's been great. And then just a byproduct of being in the group and the charitable work is the relationships that you make. And so whether it's inside the organization or outside the organization, and getting to know people like you all and others that we partner with has just been really, really fun. And so, it's been a 9 or 10 year history. I'll have one more kind of pretty involved year next year, and then take a little bit of a step back, but always clearly be very active in the group, and it's been a blessing.
Yeah, that's terrific. I think a lot of people that they'll go out to the Open, they'll see the Thunderbirds and their I call it the Thunderbird uniform, kind of the velour, the velvet, top, and the and the necklaces and all of that, and I think that there is people don't know the amazing work and charity work and that the Thunderbirds do. Can you kind of speak to that and that community connectivity?
Yeah, I mean, and I appreciate you saying that. We have a lot of fun. We throw a really fun golf tournament, and we get community support that's unmatched in the whole country, right? It makes your jobs harder, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But
yes,
ultimately what happens when you get 75 or 100,000 people a day, you're increasing revenue that allows you to give charitable dollars back to the community. So it's a Thunderbird effort, but it's a community effort. And so, the group meets on a monthly basis, and also on at least a monthly basis, we're out in the community. Whether we're at St. Mary's Food Bank or Special Olympics or Child Crisis of Arizona or Pick a Shelter.
Right.
We're out and we're trying to make sure that the dollars that we're giving back are going to the right organizations. They all need it. It's humbling to see how many requests we get, grant requests we get, because there are a lot of people need money. A lot of people need support. And so that's the really fun part, that when the TV cameras aren't on and you're not seeing the golf and you're not seeing us in our funny velour outfits, we're out meeting with the community and trying to do the right thing.
It's great.
And it's all really well intended. The tournament is super fun, but I think to a person, if you asked anyone in the Thunderbird organization, the best part is when we're out at these places giving dollars back.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I always like to give a plug to the Thunderbirds. Amazing organization and really connected to the community. but he said something I thought was very interesting, and because the first Open that I worked, I became a police officer in July of '94, and so the first Open that I worked was in 1995. It had been 1990.
You were up there right at the start then, really.
Yeah. So, and it took probably until about 1999 that I realized that it was a golf tournament.
Yeah.
I thought it was just a party.
Well, I was
usually we're like, is golf is going on here?
I was in college from 95 to 99 at U of A, and we would drive up. And, you know, you were serving and working, but I also am not sure I realized there was a golf tournament at that time.
There are times that I'm at the tournament, and because I tried to play golf a couple times. I'm terrible, but I watched, you know, the professionals do it, and just amazed at how great they are at it.
Yeah.
But I typically look around the crowd and like, are you watching this? Because there's some amazing golf going on here.
Yeah.
And then it's, you know, it's a colossally wonderful party, and you know, a lot of great people there. So
you can see, I mean, I'm admittedly kind of a golf junkie, and, you know, I love walking the front nine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where there's less, you know, partying going on and that type of social activity. And you see incredible golf.
Yeah. You know, Pat, what's interesting too is that we are sitting, the three of us in studio, you and I are sitting here with somebody who's famous. I mean, from the
back to Kevin.
Yeah, from the Open last year, Kevin made the top 7 social media golfing related incidents of 2022. Right? With the top 7.
What was
There
it?
it goes! You just witnessed a hole-in-one! You just saw a hole-in-one! Can you believe that? Hole-in-one on the famous TBC 6.
Oh, I saw this. That was amazing.
Yeah.
The timing of that was incredible.
Incredible.
You know,
The best part was right before a golfer hit, lands 13 yards from the pin, and the crowd was like this.
a little golf
Yeah,
clap.
I'm like,
golf clap.
he hit it that far away. Like, that's a phenomenal shot. And then the rest.
I hope you get to do it again. The timing of that was,
Right.
How was that number 7?
Yeah, it was. What was it? It was
number 6.
It was number 6. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
number 6. But I will tell you that that was one of the coolest golfing videos I've ever seen, because you get to see the hole-in-one, and then you get to see Kevin. I mean,
Geeking out.
yeah, just totally geeking out. But then it was the water bottles and the beer and everything just flying onto the course.
First of all, if it happens on Thursday, Friday, or Sunday, it's big, but not that big. I mean, the fact that it happened on Saturday,
Right.
you have all the rowdy people who've been
Yeah.
there, and your call was amazing. The CBS call was amazing.
Yeah.
And it was really fun.
I think golf purists and were just horrified at that sight. But those of us who enjoy and who really appreciate how energetic the Open is, just absolutely loved that. It was very cool.
We can talk now or when you want. We've made some adjustments there. So we're
let's talk about that.
sitting in the trailer last year when it happens. So you're on course. I was not, but I'm watching it and I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Our executive director, Chance Cosby's sitting as close as I am to you. We're watching it on TV, and he just puts his hands in his head, and he goes, oh, no. And he was right. I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah.
But the worry is there's full beer cans.
Yes.
They're weapons, right?
Yes.
And there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Right.
We're incredibly lucky nobody got hurt,
Absolutely.
right? Including you, Kevin. I mean, we're so lucky. But a lot of people, when that happens, if you watch the video, if you were where you were, they went right to the edge of the wall, so they're not getting hit.
They were the only smart ones that did it. I watched it. They all were going in the tunnel as I was going backwards. I was like, why is everyone going in the tunnel? Didn't make sense. And then I realized why.
So the next day, we went to the CBS, their trailer, and we watched it from a ton of angles. But immediately, the PGA Tour said, we need to meet.
Yeah.
And so this year, interestingly, we will not have any canned alcohol on 16.
Going to the cups, right?
We're going to cups.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll have a commemorative cup. That'll be great. And if I hope we get a hole-in-one, and if a fan decides they want to throw a cup full of beer, it'll get to the person in the row in front of them.
Right.
Yeah.
And if it gets to the green, it won't hurt anybody.
Right.
And so we've adjusted and now hopefully eliminated the chance for someone to get hurt.
Yeah. I think it's a great idea. you don't know what you don't know until it actually happens.
Yeah.
And so all of those the plastic bottles and things like that coming out onto the course, and I think you had more beer on you in your uniform than you've ever had in your career.
Ever.
Well, you learn and adjust. I mean, we learned we didn't have enough trash cans. Right.
Oh, yeah.
Like, let's sweep that area, the G area, in some of these suites every 30 minutes, just in the event if there's empty stuff, just to get rid of it. So we'll fix it.
It's a great pivot. I think it'll be cool too, because if you wind up throwing those cups and they do land, onto the green, they're all the same color. I think we went with a different color this year. What was the color that we?
They're green.
Thorough.
They're green with the white logo. The health department, interestingly, so as you all know probably too well, generally our fans don't have beer, right? And so when you go,
yes, we know.
So when you go to buy a beer this year, you're going to buy one, you're going to get it in a cup, and if you decide to have another beer, you have to have a new cup. You can't pour it in the same cup.
Oh, that's great.
So, well, it's good and bad. And we ordered a lot of cups because we're anticipating people, wanting to indulge.
Yeah.
We'll have recycling bins there if they want to get rid of them. But I also anticipate people walking out with stacks.
Commemorative.
That's okay. Yeah, commemorative.
Yeah, and that'll show you like, hey, look at the stack of cups that I got.
Yeah.
I
don't know if that's an accomplishment, but it's going to happen.
Pat, that's going to be a lot of cups. I ordered a lot of cups.
I don't know if it's a secret. I guess it's not with you. I think the number was 250,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's going to be
only on
cups.
It's only on 16.
Oh, okay.
Because every other venue will still have canned alcohol.
Okay.
I mean, the likelihood of a hole-in-one on another hole is pretty, not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do it on the...
I was going to say...
Maybe 17. 17's drivable, but they're too far away.
I was going to say if that 250,000 was for the whole tournament throughout the thing, I mean, you don't have enough cups. 16?
Just 16.
16, I think you'll be okay.
What are you looking forward to most at this year's Open? I know there's a little bit of changes, but from your perspective as being the tournament chair, what are you looking forward to most?
Yeah, I mean, I think as the tournament chair, everyone who has the role is trying to set some goals and trying to, I don't know if we try to do something different, but one of the beauties of the group is everyone's competitive and everyone's trying to challenge themselves and evolve. That's why our venues have grown over time, right? Because a particular venue chairman has said, I think we can add another level here, or here's another nook, and I'll describe some of those so you can hear what we're doing this year. But my goal this year was to, improve the fan experience.
Yeah.
That's really what I wanted to do. And so, and knowing, and we're going to talk about it in a moment, knowing that the Super Bowl is here in Glendale, we knew that we were going to have bigger crowds. And so, what do we do to make the fan experience better? Mm-hmm. And so we've done a few things. We have we have a fan zone that's been there for years. We've made it better. We cleaned it up. We put landscaping in. Mm-hmm. We put some shaded areas in. We put some walkways in. It's a non-viewing corridor where you can't see golf. A lot of people come not to watch golf.
Right.
We've got restaurants and bars in there. We put up new video boards so you can watch golf if you want, or if we want to message something.
Oh, perfect.
So the fan zone's going to be new. It's going to be enhanced and a little bit better. Our entrance is different this year. And actually, as we talk just about safety and security and a lot of what we're partnering with your team on this year, the entrance has been a huge part of it. DraftKings opens their restaurant next year.
Okay.
So that used to be our entrance.
Right.
Now we're pivoting and making a temporary entrance, which is a tough year to make a temporary entrance when you're expecting as big a crowds as you've ever had before. And when you think about just the amount of people who come in at the same time and leave at the same time, and the safety that's required for that, that's been something that's been a huge focal point for the team to make sure that we do that effectively. It's basically in the same spot. We're going to put up a cool clock tower that everyone can kind of see, so it's a destination right in the middle of Bell Road.
Yeah.
And then we'll lead everyone down the right path to get wanted and do those things. So the entry experience will be new. We'll have some music there so we can also send out messaging as well. And then finally 16, right? Like what's new there? Besides the cups, we're going to have 2 new video boards on 16 as well.
Oh, cool.
Great.
So they're going to be awesome. The player experience when they finish the 15th green and they walk through the tunnel to get to 16, for the first time ever, we're going to capture that walk.
Awesome.
And so the people in the 16 in the Coliseum will get to see Pick'em, Ricky Fowler, John Rahm walking through the tunnel.
That's awesome.
As they walk out. And then when they hit their shot, if you've watched golf, you'll see the tracking of the shot
Yes.
and where it is. And then we can also use the boards for messaging, right? And do other fun things. So those are the three things that are new. We've got some other things that are less exciting. We've got more restrooms this year. We've got more concessions this year. Like, as you think about the fan experience
Yeah.
and anticipating more people, we just tried to make some things more accessible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. In addition to those things, there's some cool things this year in a kind of a change. What's the biggest change to the tournament that the fans can look forward to? Because it's you're going to see more of the top golfers this year. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So what we previously had said, the tour was kind of talking about an elevated tournament. They've now I think they are calling it a designated tournament. But we were fortunate enough this year to be picked as a designated tournament.
Yeah.
And it means the following. Our purse goes from $8.2 million to $20 million.
Yeah, that's great.
Right? Our winner will get a check for $3.6 million. Further, it means that all the top players in the PGA Tour will be here.
Yeah.
And if you finish 15th or 20th, which was good last year, this year it's life-changing money because the purse is so big. So it really enhances our field. It's great exposure for the tournament.
Yeah.
Every PGA tournament raised their hand and said, we want to be designated. Yeah. And we did too. And I really believe the reason we were selected is because of we have an 88-year history of the tournament that's outstanding. One of the oldest tournaments on tour.
Yeah.
Our last 30 or so years in Scottsdale have really enhanced the tournament clearly. And so it's truly, I believe, a community effort of how we got to be designated. No other tournament has the fan turnout we have.
Right.
No other tournament sells as many suites as we do. Also, no other tournament has the capital investment that we have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we start building in September and take down by May. And so it was a team effort, a collaborative effort, and it's going to be great. I mean, just yesterday, the number one player in the world, Rory McIlroy, announced he's coming.
Wow.
Yeah, that's great.
So it's great. And the field's just going to be fantastic. So I think for those that want to see golf, they're going to see the best golf that they've seen.
Yep.
Interestingly, the last 8 tournament winners of our tournament have been either on the Ryder Cup or President's Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And you go, why is that? Well, the Ryder Cup and the President's Cup is an atmosphere that's chaotic.
Yeah.
Right? And you've got a lot of fans, whether it's overseas or here, that are screaming and yelling. And it's probably the only other tournament like ours that's a little bit more rowdy. It's probably just a coincidence. But our winner of the last 8 years have also been selected to those teams. And I think if you embrace the environment and the rowdiness, maybe it gets you ready for those other kind of team events as well.
Yeah, look at it like if you can play and get used to the rowdiness here, you can play anywhere and in any tournament. It's crazy. But what a great year for you to be the tournament chair, because there's some really cool things that are going on. It's a Super Bowl year for us, which we don't see. Well, we see about every 8 years or so. Which is great. And then some of the big changes, the big change you just talked about with the PGA, and now you're going to get, with that $20 million purse, you're going to get all the top golfers. I mean, we've always had, a handful of the top golfers in there, but to get that increased purse and be designated, what a great year. I mean, there's just so many great things.
So much going on.
Great records again this year. We'll likely see 1 million people coming in and out of the Open during that week. It's just... What a great year for you to be the chair.
Feel very lucky. And it's funny, I mean, and I'm sure you all have some connection to the Super Bowl, and I think all the police departments around the community are supporting each other for that effort. And all eyes of the sporting world will be on Glendale Sunday night, right? And we're going to get a lot of those eyes too, just because we're here that weekend.
Right.
But if you think about the logistics, and I don't know them, you do, we'll get 100,000 people in and out of Glendale on Sunday afternoon, right? And it takes a lot of coordination and a lot of great efforts to get that many people out of a stadium,
Right.
which, by the way, we do 8 times a year on Sundays anyway.
Yeah.
And then you think about our event in Scottsdale that will probably do that for 7 straight days, right? And so make no mistake, the Super Bowl is the biggest sporting event in our country. But the logistics, the partnership with, police and other groups that are required, really Saturday, the concert before, through the Sunday, is a huge effort. and it requires a ton of partners. So I am excited. It's a great year. There's a lot of logistics and things that are changing this year. Buses are harder to come by.
Yeah.
I mentioned it earlier. Restrooms are harder to come by. Like all the things that, we normally don't have to compete with anyone for. This year a little bit harder, but the Super Bowl committee has been fantastic. They're a great partner with us, and it'll be really exciting.
Last year, I think it was golf cart shortage, right? There was we didn't have enough golf.
So, and we're still dealing with it.
Right. It's insane. So, Pat, you bring up a great point. I joke with Chris Briggs, who's the police chief in Glendale. He and I are good friends, and I'll say, yeah, come on, you guys have that game over there on Sunday where you might move in and out, 80 to 100,000 people. Well, we'll have 3 times that on a Saturday, coming in and out of the open, and then how you exactly that entire week, the number of people that come in and out of the open that spend time. Since we have the lion's share of all the nightclubs.
I was going to say, let's be honest, and the 100,000 that are showing up are a different, maybe a little different fan.
Yeah, definitely. But the Bird's Nest and the activity at the Bird's Nest and the great concert series there, the concert before, everything going on in Old Town. ESPN will be broadcasting from Old Town. It's just going to be a great and vibrant experience that we're excited to be here and excited that when it passes and everybody's had a wonderful time and gone home safely.
Yeah, I feel the same way. The anticipation is obviously building, and it's been a year of work for the Thunderbirds. And now we're kind of at the fun part, right? 2 or 3 weeks leading up to it. It's the fun part, the anticipation. But like you said, there's part of me inside that's going, on February 13th when it's over, there'll be a sigh of relief, right?
I'll be able to sleep.
Be able to sleep and I just don't want anything drastic to happen, right? You want to get through the week. You want people to have fun. You just don't want something drastic to happen.
Sure.
And
we feel exactly the same way.
Yeah.
We brought in, we talked about it just the other day that in my early days here, the tournament was of a size that the Scottsdale Police Department had enough personnel to handle it ourselves. We handled the inside and the outside, and it has grown so large. And I mean, it's a tremendous event and asset to the city that we bring in great partners. So I kind of want to talk about that partnership a little bit, our partnership with the Thunderbirds, but then, I'll mention our partnerships that we have a primary partner now out at the Open in the Department of Public Safety, so that we work that event together. On an average, Saturday we'll usually have 100 of our people there and 50 DPS officers there, and that partnership. But we roll in. We have such good partnerships in the Valley and in the state that we always roll in bike units from not just from Scottsdale, but from Mesa and Tempe and Chandler and ASU and Gilbert, because it's especially on a Friday and Saturday, much easier to get around the course on a bicycle than it is on foot or even in a golf cart sometimes. And so we have great partners that we're bringing in to help us with the Super Bowl side of the event this year as well. Just because my 400-ish, police officers, we still have a city to protect, right? During this event. So can you kind of speak to that, the partnerships that you have with the PD and kind of that history of the partnerships with the PD and the fire department and kind of how we all work well together?
I won't do it justice. We have great partners throughout, the entire organization and the tournament. We have incredible volunteers, 2,500 that are out there that week.
Wow.
We have a great title sponsor in WM. We have a great presenting sponsor in Taylor Morrison. I can go on and on. I don't know that there's a more important partner than PD and fire, right, that we have.
Right.
And as I said earlier, in my own experience, starting in parking and getting a chance to meet, I'll say it again, Mr. Schaefer.
Mr. Wes Schaefer.
Wes, yeah. I have a good story that I can tell about it if you remind me in a moment. So anyway, the partnership, even at a young time in my Thunderbird career, I get to start making relationships with folks like you, and it becomes incredibly important to us. And we don't do anything at the tournament unless you all say you can do it. Mm-hmm. Right? And so we are meeting constantly throughout the year. I already mentioned that, but our security chairman this year, Blake Merrim, who's also in the fire department, is meeting with your team on a monthly basis, and not a small group, a big group. In fact, this week we have a walkthrough of the entire venue, And so, and we say we want to do this at the entry, or we want to do this at the fan zone, or this, and we'll get generally great cooperation, but sometimes the answer is no. And the answer is no because it's about safety, and it's about scenarios that could happen or may happen. And so, I mean, again, I said I wouldn't be able to do it justice, but the relationship and the partnership is as important as we have, and we know how important it is to the success of the tournament.
Yeah.
And the tour cares, right? The tour loves our tournament, and I can't speak on their behalf, and Commissioner will be out here this year for the tournament, but it's a nerve-wracking time for them.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you think about Saturday morning when we have all these kids who do the run of 16.
Yeah.
And 3 years ago, nobody got hurt, but the tour's like, let's make a few adjustments. And, you know, I don't know if you've been out there at 5 a.m. for this, but now we have your vehicles and we light it.
Yes.
You guys light your vehicles just to give a little bit more protection. And we've done things to change just that one thing to make it a more safe environment. We still want to do it. We want to keep the tradition.
Right.
But we have to talk to you and say, what's the right thing to do? So the partnership's awesome. We could not be more appreciative. And so I hope we can continue to be good partners.
Absolutely.
We loved watching the evolution of that, especially last year, knowing kind of how it was just mass pandemonium to get to the Breakfast Club at 16. And then watching the change last year, it was one of those, that's awesome. The corrals, the set number of people that were able to go through, it was so smooth.
Well, and by the way, those corrals are suggested by you all, and that's evolved over whatever it was, 6 months of meetings to say, how can we make this safer? And the entries, you know, a great example this year that we've gone through 4 or 5 different iterations of the entry because your team said this won't work. Let's adjust here. We're going to have this many people exiting on Saturday at 3:00. You've got to prepare for this type of, you know, safe exit.
Right.
So those things happen daily, weekly, throughout the year to make sure it's safe.
This is your reminder of you have a story about Wes Schaefer, and for our listeners, Mr. Schaefer is Sergeant Wes Schaefer, the supervisor of my special events unit here, who is all things special events and our principal and primary planner for our assets at the Open.
And wonderful human. So
great.
And so I've worked, just because of my jobs throughout the years, Wes and I have worked together. I mean, half of my time in the Thunderbirds, and I always make a point if I'm not in that week to go see him and say hi. So this is not tournament week. This is like summer 2 years ago. And I'm in Scottsdale at a restaurant, and he is too, with 3 other uniformed officers. And we're standing in line. Well, and I don't really even think anything of it. And I go up and I say, hey, Wes, and I give him a big hug. And the other 3 officers are like, what's going on here? Right. And I could tell that Wes was kind of a little apprehensive. Like, I probably should have shook his hand, and I probably should have introduced myself to the others. It was probably too big of a hug. Yeah. Right. And I probably told him I loved him. Yeah. But I mean, it's fun. And Wes could tell you he's got that relationship with 20 other Thunderbirds, along with a lot of your other officers, because we've got to trust each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that Wes is so good at his job and so ingrained in the special events community that when I lose him here and he's going to retire in the next few years, that I'm like, oh, great. We're really going to have to find somebody like Wes. To fill that position, to keep those relationships going strong. Yeah. So Wes, don't call me and say, hey, thanks, you said something nice about me. Then just leave it at that. Let's not make it awkward when he listens.
I'm going to make it super awkward.
Yeah, of course. Of course you are. Parking Control Officer Kwan. Yes, I can demote you. So I know that Kevin had a great question on here too, which was which golfer, if you can answer this, and it might put you in a bad position, but which golfer or golfers are you most excited about seeing this year?
No, I can answer it. I mean, I'm going to give you a few answers. Rory comes to the top of the list. I mean, Rory's played here only once before.
Oh.
This will be his second time. He's currently the number 1 player in the world. If you follow golf at all and seen what's happened with the tour and the Live Tour the last 18 months or 12 months, Rory has been as big of an advocate for the tour as any player. Very outspoken, very well-spoken. And I just think him coming here is in part because we're a designated tournament and there's a big purse. But I also think it's him perhaps knowing that he's such a big face of the of the tour that it's important for him to be at the biggest tournaments. And so he's really exciting. You know, our last year's champion, Scotty Scheffler, had never won. He wins. 4 months later, he had won 3 other times, including the Masters, is now the number 2 player in the world. Right. And then, so that'll be exciting. And then we've got so many locals. I mean, John Rahm, Max Homa now, who's local, who's winning a lot recently. We've got, I could go on and on. Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, they're all going to be here. And so I'm excited to see them all. There's also folks, you know, last year, Doc Golding gave a sponsor exemption to a gentleman just a week prior, Sahith Theegala, and he finishes 3rd.
Right.
Pretty well. Leading. He's leading on. I mean, he's one bad bounce away from winning the tournament potentially on the 17th hole.
Yep.
But you know, I bring that up only because there are some people that maybe aren't as familiar with some of the players that will be here, and you know, that springboarded him. He now has full status on the tour. He'll be back. He brings his whole family, which is fun. So you know, there'll be somebody like that too that we maybe isn't as much of a household name that will play well, and I'm excited for those people too.
Well, we're excited. You know, it's going to be another great year. I love to see the crowds and how we collectively manage all of the crowds and all of the expectations. Because think about it, every year I think that we put greater expectations on ourselves. I think as the Thunderbirds, certainly as the police and fire departments here to continue just to raise the bar. And so
Do you guys do anything different for Super Bowl years? I mean, I know you said you rely on pulling in other partners, but now the Super Bowl is doing that as well. I mean, does it just stretch you that much more, or do you have to do anything different?
During Super Bowl years, we double those crowds because more people come in, because not only do you have the open crowds, now you have people here for the Super Bowl, and you have people who are not going to go to either, but they're interested in the atmosphere, they're interested in the parties, the restaurants. And so, you know, we have sanctioned events in Scottsdale, NFL sanctioned events for the Super Bowl. We have unsanctioned. We have our special events permits for events related to Super Bowl parties and open parties are in excess of 30 applications now for extension of premise and different events and parties. I mean, it runs the entire length of the city from the air park down to the entertainment district.
Yeah.
And so, well, obviously we still have the same number of police officers that we do in a normal open. And so we've brought in our partners, and in particular our East Valley partners. So we're bringing in officers from Mesa, from Gilbert, from Chandler, from Tempe, from Apache Junction, from Paradise Valley.
Yep.
I don't think I'm forgetting anybody that will be boots on the ground with our officers, really all about presence, crowd management, crowd control. And so, we're great partners. And here's the interesting part. I just had this discussion yesterday in the city's executive team meeting is I always like to ask the question, how much money is it going to cost us to pay those officers from outside agencies that are going to support our area commands? Not at the open. The open is different, but the ones we're bringing in to help assist with crowd control in the entertainment district, in our North Command and our South Command. And the answer is zero.
That's impossible.
Right. They're not going to cost us anything. We do mutual aid, much like the fire department. And those agencies are sending, I think Mesa's going to send us 20, Tempe's going to send us 10, Chandler probably 8, 10, Gilbert the same, Apache Junction I think was going to send us a squad or 2. And those are all being done with mutual aid, because...
What does that mean?
So they're going to help us, and when they call us and we need to help, we go and help them. A great example is Chandler. We help out the Chandler Police Department at their annual Ostrich Festival. It's a large ostrich festival there. It's grown. It's not the open. I know it's not the open. And then their most recent big one is their barbecue festival that brings in people. So we help them. We send our bike units. We send people there. So there's a lot of reciprocal.
All due respect to the Ostrich Festival, I feel like there might be a little bit more risk at, in Old Town on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Yeah. Or my joke with Chief Ken Koss from the Mesa Police Department is I said, Ken, I'm gonna need some assistance, with some Super Bowl coverage because we have the open at the same time. I said, is there anything going on in the city of Mesa during Super Bowl period? He said, I don't know, we might have a pickleball tournament. So my peers have been wonderful. The city managers of those and the elected officials of those cities are great in absorbing those costs. But it also does one other thing, is that those folks who come here, those officers who come here. In fact, I was talking to the chief and assistant chief from Apache Junction yesterday, and they were very excited. They don't get to work these type of insurance. They don't.
Right.
This is massive crowd control, massive presence in Old Town. It's that way every Friday and Saturday, but now double those crowds. And for all of them, this is a really great experience in dealing with huge crowds that they don't normally see in their respective cities, that we, I think, have gotten so used to that we kind of take it for granted. So I think it's a great experience.
But it's not that they don't need training. They've had it. But for them to get that exposure, it can't hurt.
Right. I totally agree. And so those partnerships are great. And so we've had to expand our footprint outside of our own police department, and we bring in all those other agencies. So Maricopa County Sheriff's Office is another partner I haven't mentioned that helps out with us as well.
I would think that downtown Phoenix is busy for that week.
Phoenix PD is going to be very busy as well.
Yeah. And then, but I mean, really, and the nightlife scene, I guess some in Tempe as well.
Right.
But I mean, I would guess 80% of it will be in your backyard.
Yeah, they will.
So the good part about that, what you're talking about, is when we bring in these other agencies, we don't just put them in an area and say, you do that, right? We have officers from Scottsdale that are the liaisons.
Right.
So that, because we know how to work it so much differently and we've had the experience with it, that especially with our bike units, you will see it's a combined bike unit. A couple of Scottsdale officers, a couple of Mesa, and whoever comes. So it's that.
You probably have to do that, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It just makes it a little bit easier for communication wise, and we can all stay on the same channel and stuff like that when stuff happens.
Yep.
So it's great. It's great. Exciting. I'm glad it's here.
That's a wrap, talking everything WM Phoenix Open. We wanted to give a special shout out to all the partners that help us with the WM Phoenix Open, including all the agencies that will be sending officers to help us, the Pro-Am, PGA Tour, the Thunderbirds, and our partners within the City of Scottsdale and the Fire Department. With a special thank you to every Scottsdale Police Department employee and their families. Now let's get back to the show with Sergeant Kwan and today's 4 Reels questions with Chief Walther and Pat Williams.
This is usually, now as we wrap up, this is usually the time where you ask some weird questions of...
Okay, here's a fun one because it kind of related to what was just discovered with the brand new telescope. I don't know if you guys have been following that at all. There's this like $20 billion telescope that like just discovered a new planet that is very close to the Earth's same size, something like 70 light years. So I don't know what it is. Anyways, if you ever had the opportunity to discover a new planet or new world, what would you name it? And what would it look like? What would the inhabitants be like?
I would call it Wally World.
That's original.
It's my planet.
It's
why when
a movie.
No.
It's from Vacation.
Okay.
That's an amusement
Our
park.
nickname, Wally. Wally World, Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
What would the inhabitants be like?
Yeah, what would the inhabitants be like?
Nothing like you.
I think I'd call it Chandler, and it inhabited by ostriches.
Pat wins. That's a great one.
That's going to be our logo that we put out.
You're going to have to listen to the whole podcast to get it, but...
The planet of Chandler and the ostrich people. That's terrific.
All right. What is the wildest or weirdest food that you've ever eaten?
I think octopus is weird. And so I've eaten octopus.
How have you eaten?
With a miso paste. So, almost like a dipping sauce. It's like called the taco miso. It's a Japanese delicacy, and it's where you can actually still see the little suckers on the octopus, and then you dip it in this miso paste.
So you just took the knife. You didn't even. There's no fried temper or anything around it.
No, it's very rubbery.
Kevin, what's your answer?
I had bison burger when I was in South Africa. So I don't know if they cook differently than we do, but it did not taste like a normal hamburger, which my brain kind of went to.
Yeah.
It's my shout out to my son-in-law. My daughter and my son-in-law listen to this, and they got drawn this year. Only 25 permits in Montana for bison. He drew a bison tag, and he was successful. And it's a 4-month. You get 4 months to try to take a bison. They were successful in week number 2.
Really?
Yeah. So
That's really cool. I don't know that I have a good answer. I mean, octopus is a good answer. I'll give you one that is kind of just close to me that I try to put on everything I eat. I'm from New Mexico, so grew up in Albuquerque, and it's kind of weird, but green chili is basic. You can get green chili ice cream in New Mexico if you want to find it. I'm not kidding. But I've kind of taken that obsession throughout my life, and also something that drives my wife crazy, but that's something I like.
Have you ever had like a chili beer? Because I've heard they make that.
I don't know that I've had a chili beer, but you can buy green chili brownies. That's a gift that my father gave my wife for a holiday that won't leave the family laughing, stock. But
it's going to be sweet and it just burns your mouth.
Yeah, you can put it on anything.
Chief, you had an experience with spicy things.
That's
had about that.
Come on, I was that spice from the our Hot Ones episode. I think worked through me after about we did it here in house, and we did an episode of that at Chief Talk. It's another show I do, but internal to the organization, and we Kevin and I went through all 10 hot wings.
Did you make it?
We did.
Some of us made it without water. What was saying?
Yeah. What was the worst one, Kevin? Da bomb. Number 8 was the worst.
Is it
one.
brutal?
It's brutal.
I didn't know your inner cheeks could burn. I didn't know that was a thing until we.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that the webbing in between your toes could tingle like that. So
I just start feeling in the back of your neck. And you're like, I didn't know that was possible.
We'll send you the link to that, and you can laugh at us as we try to consume ice and donuts. And
if you could be magically fluent in a language, what would that language be, and why would you want to have that language?
What is magically fluent?
Like all of a sudden,
I can speak it. I didn't know there was a different type of.
Mine's easy. Mine's Spanish. I'd love to be completely fluent in Spanish. I live in Arizona. I love. And my wife is half Mexican. Her family is Mexican, and so I'd be fluent in Spanish, because Spanish I can use all around in different places all around the world, and so
Spanish is a great answer. I think I'd go French. My wife would like it.
I want to learn Elvish.
Like, we just went to like dork level 100.
I did not see Lord of the Rings. We created.
You said he got promoted, right?
He just blew that out in the water, and now I cannot promote. Well, Pat, I think the torture is over for you. Thanks so much for being here. Very insightful again. It's just great information. Thanks to you for what you're doing. Thanks to the Thunderbirds for the great partnership and the tournament. It's just could not have better partners than you and the Thunderbirds.
Totally agree. We are so appreciative and thankful, and we can't say it enough, but what you all do with our tournament and just every day is very much appreciated.
Absolutely. To our listeners out there, let's have a great month. Enjoy yourselves during the Open. Barrett-Jackson is coming up. So Barrett-Jackson, the Open, Super Bowl festivities. We're gonna have the Parada. The Arabian Horse Show is coming up. Spring training is coming up after that. So I'm sure Kevin will be talking about spring training as well. Please take care of each other. I know traffic's gonna be increased on our roadways. I've been seeing a lot more road rage going on. Let's just take a couple deep breaths. Treat everybody with dignity and respect. We're gonna be waiting in lines. It's gonna be frustrating, but hey, what a great time of year for us. The weather is beautiful. Let's just do our best to take care of one another. And remember that every day offers each of us the opportunity to be more in the service of one another. I always try to throw that challenge out there. Please accept that challenge and treat everybody really well, and be safe out there, and we'll talk to you next month.
Thank you for listening to episode 18. Make sure you follow us for any and all updates on your social media platforms at ScottsdalePD. We hope to see you out there with all 250,000 of your best friends at the best golf and some amazing concerts. Have fun and stay safe.